Hello, everyone. So, I know the question that a lot of people often has about dragon fruit is, what color or variety is my dragon fruit? So today I'm going to try to teach you how to know if you have white-fleshed, red-fleshed, or yellow-fleshed dragon fruit, and to teach you about different species and how to identify them. So let me preface this video by saying that unless you know exactly what you bring home from the store beforehand, uh, it's almost impossible to know what kind of dragon fruit you have. And the most you'll ever be able to identify is probably the species, and that's even iffy by itself. So what you'll have is a no ID. But today I want to try to teach you at least how to identify what color of dragon fruit you're going to get in the future, right? So what a lot of people don't know is that dragon fruit isn't one species of plant, right? It's actually a family of different cactuses. So these are all dragon fruit. So Cebra, you know, this unknown Undatus, which is a no ID, and this Undatus, which is actually an ID. They're all dragon fruit, right? But as you can see, Cebra is really spiky and it's straight. Undatus is like wavy and it's not that spiky. And this is the same kind of this one, but it's thinner. These are all dragon fruit. They're all the species dragon fruit. They're all the genus dragon fruit, sorry. But they have different species. They're all the genus Selenocereus. But this is Selenocereus polyrhizis, Selenocereus undatus, and also Selenocereus undatus. And this one right here is Selenocereus guatemalensis. Okay? So, the best way to tell your species apart is by looking at the branches, right? So this right here is another Undatus species. Undatus gives you white flesh dragon fruit most of the time. And I'll explain what I mean by that later. But, so, as you can see, this is Undatus, right? Undatus is kind of wide. It kind of looks like your typical dragon fruit because it's the most common grown, right? And this one right here is Guatemalensis, as you can see, right? So at first glance, they look the same. They have both three sides, and they're both like dragon fruit, right? But if you look closely, Guatemalensis, which is a red flesh dragon fruit, has big waves, right? It's really wavy, really cloudy. And you can see that the edges are like almost green all the way through. Whereas over here on Undatus, the edges are less wavy, right? They're less extreme. And the edges are marked by like a yellow edge. And this is really characteristic of Undatus. Whereas the yellow edge on Guatemalensis, you see, is not really there. It's less noticeable. Let me show you side by side, right? So this is Undatus, and this is Guatemalensis. This is really wavy, and this is not that wavy, you see? And let me try to highlight it with Cebra, which is not wavy at all, really. You see? So this is white fleshed, and this is red fleshed. But what happens when you have something? So these are, their own species, for sure. But what happens when you have something like over here, Cosmic Charlie, which is actually a hybrid between Undatus and Guatemalensis? You see? It looks like both at first glance, right? It's wide like Undatus, like the white flesh dragon fruit, but it also is pretty wavy like Guatemalensis, like the red flesh dragon fruit, right? And that's the problem about having dragon fruit, is that if you don't know what you have, you don't know if your dragon fruit's a species or if it's a hybrid of species or anything like that. So I'm going to teach you how to identify them without wanting to know the species name, right? So if you can see here, the beginning of the new growth is green, but towards the end, towards the tip, it ends in like a red tinge right there, you see? It's really noticeable on new growths like this. If you can see, the growth is like red, like almost entirely red, right? And whenever it's red like that, it's an indicator that the flesh on the inside of the fruit is going to be red as well, right? So I know that Cosmic Charlie, this plant, is going to give me a red flesh dragon fruit, right? And the same thing is true for Condor. Look, you can see right here on Condor, which is the red Guatemalensis, that the edges of the They're called I forgot what they're called, but the edges of the fins of the branches, right, they're red. So this is also a red flesh dragon fruit. With this white flesh dragon fruit, Undatus, the edges will never be red, right? On a new growth, they'll always be green. You'll never see any red, and that's how you know that this is a white flesh dragon fruit, right? So new growth, if it's white, then it's going to be a white flesh dragon fruit. Or I'm sorry, if the new growth is not red, then it's going to be white flesh, right? So this is brand new growth, and it's completely green, no red whatsoever. So this is white. This new growth has the edges as red, right? So this is red fruit. Okay, so that's how to tell between white and red fruit. And luckily, telling between yellow fruit is really easy, right? So this right here is my only yellow plant. And as you can see, it's different. Look, here's the yellow flesh. Here's red flesh, right? Red flesh is really cloudy. And yellow dragon fruit is like almost not cloudy. Instead, it's like kind of like it just like, it has curves, you see? It's almost straight, but it has like little tiny, like kind of like indentations instead. It's really distinct, like you can tell easily. If you buy yellow dragon fruit from someone and it doesn't look like this, right? You see like it has little tiny spikes, like thick spikes, and it also is like almost not wavy at all. This is yellow dragon fruit. You see, it's distinctly different. This is Solanacearis megalandus. If your dragon fruit doesn't look like this and they're claiming it's yellow dragon fruit, it's not yellow dragon fruit, because this is what yellow dragon fruit looks like. If they sell you something that looks like this and call it yellow, then you're getting scammed, so be careful. This is a true yellow, right? And that's the easiest way to tell, because Megalanthus is like one of the only dragon fruits out there that comes with the, you know, that classic yellow flesh or yellow like outer skin that you buy at the supermarket. Yeah, this is it. Okay. But one more thing I wanted to explain is that, well, let me reiterate. You know, let me remind you guys. So, one more time. No red on the growth would be white flesh, okay? Red on the growth is red fleshed. All right? And that's true for any hybrids or anything like that. No matter how much, you know, lineage or crossbreeding or whatever is going on with your plant, as long as the edges are red, you'll know that it's a red flesh. And then yellow flesh, or the yellow dragon fruit on the outside, it looks like this, okay? So just go ahead and come back to the video and compare any plants you want to buy to this plant. This is what a yellow dragon fruit looks like. It's distinct, it's unique, it's easy to identify. Okay. Now, one thing complicated about dragon fruit is that while white dragon fruit is the most commonly sold in the wild, white dragon fruit is actually kind of rare. There's only a few species that give you white dragon fruit. And I would say the most common version of dragon fruit would be the red flesh. So, this is Guanamalensis, right? It's its own species. And this is Polyrhizis, which is also its own species. But these two, they both give out red fleshed dragon fruit, right? So if you're buying something, and you're buying something at random, it's more than likely going to be a red dragon fruit, right? So this is red fleshed, and this is red fleshed. This is actually like a deep red, like a blood red, while this one is more like a pinkish or magenta, but they're both red, you know, and you can see that they look different. And that's the, you know, cool, funny thing about dragon fruit. So this is what Polyrhizis looks like. Polyrhizis is straight, and it has really big spines, you see. Guanamalensis is very curvy, has tiny spines. Undatus, a white flesh, is not that curvy and has tiny spines and a yellow edge. And then I showed you how Megalanthus over there looks like, and there's way more species of dragon fruit. So, you know, if you pay attention and if you research dragon fruit, you'll see that each species of dragon fruit is distinct in how it looks, you know, and I recommend you go and study them. because it really makes buying and, making sure you didn't get scammed a lot easier. But, it's never impossible to get scammed, so be careful. The last thing I wanted to touch on was mutants, right? So these are both Undatus, but I kind of lied to you in the beginning because this one has the red skin on the outside with, the classic red skin, white flesh. But this one, Undatus, is actually a special variety of Undatus, right? So you have the family, dragon fruit, then you have species, and then in the species you have variety, right? So this would be Vietnam white variety, and this, I forgot what it's called, but I think this is golden yellow variety, right? So what's the difference? They're both Undatus, they're both white flesh. Well, this one is pink skin on the outside, and this one is actually yellow skin on the outside, which is really rare, really rare. But other than that, it's just a mutation for the skin color, and it's still Undatus, and it still has characteristics like Undatus. So you won't be able to tell unless you grow the fruit. So that's another thing to look out for. But yeah, so that's the main ways to tell what kind of dragon fruit you have. Just pay attention to the branches, the branch style, and the fruit, and the new growth color, and you'll be good. Alright guys, I hope I taught you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll try to explain it to you as best I can. And let me know if I missed anything, and I'll be sure to make it or mention it in a future video. Alright, see ya guys.